Well, Xbox went and did the thing that we knew that they were going to do. Just about a month ago, Nintendo obviously had their big Switch 2 Direct, announced the prices, and Mario Kart World was the price of the Switch wasn't even like most people's concern. I think most people probably wanted it to be $399. But obviously Mario Kart World was announced as an $80 video game, which obviously sparked a lot of backlash. We don't have to rehash any of the last month or so, but once they announced the $80 price tag, we knew that PlayStation and Xbox were coming. They were itching to raise the prices. They were in the background like this, just like, all right, when can we do this? Let's give Nintendo, 30 days or so to take all the backlash, and then we'll just pile it on to the gamers. My name is Harrison. Welcome back to the channel. This is the first time here. Subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. I generally keep everything pretty positive on this channel. Been negative in the past month or so, just with the Switch 2 stuff. I'm kind of over that hump just because I am excited to play the Switch 2. Am I happy about Mario Kart being $80? Absolutely not. But we got to talk about it because I think it is very important. And I think the one thing we have to remember is video game companies are not our friends. They are not pro-consumers. The whole slogans back in the day, like power to the gamers and stuff like that, it never was true in the first place, but it is definitely not the case now. So that's what we have to remember is they're not pro-consumer. A few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, gamers had some sort of power. I think Xbox tried to increase the price of their Xbox Live Gold at some point, and gamers were pissed, and they ended up, I think, reverting the prices, or they did something. I think PlayStation maybe did something like that as well. But now, they just rip the Band-Aid off as fast as they can. There's no marketing or whatever. They just announce their stuff and they just keep it moving. So let's read the headline, and then we'll kind of dive into it. So I think this was announced by Xbox themselves. I'm not sure. I'm not logged into Twitter, but I did see it on my phone. But this is IGN's article. So Microsoft is raising prices on Xbox by a lot. In an announcement today, the company said it'll be raising prices on Xbox consoles, controllers, headsets, and some games. The price for consoles and accessory kicks in today, May 1st, and while game prices will stay the same for now, we should expect to see Xbox charging $80 for new first-party games around the holiday season. And I think that's a mistake, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Price increases are taking effect globally, with the exception of headset prices, which are only going up in the US and Canada. Going forward, here are the expected prices on various Xbox consoles and accessories. I'm not going to read every single one of them, but the Xbox Series S, 380, it was 300 going up to that is crazy. I mean, I guess $80 is not a huge difference, but still, like, these are 5-year-old consoles. Long are the days where, once you got, a few years into a console's, life cycle, that they would start to decrease in price because they found ways to, manufacture those parts at a cheaper price. And then they had, the increase, like the Xbox 360 Elite back in the day had the bigger storage, so they could, they could have that price increase there, and then lower. That's besides the point. So we're just kind of seeing prices go up across the board. And why I think it's a mistake for Xbox specifically, because at this point with Xbox, I mean, with their Series X going up by $100, the Series X is already not selling well at all. So they've pretty much planted the flag and said, hey, we are done with this generation. We are giving up on potential new customers. We're just going to nickel and dime our existing customers. Is pretty much what they're trying to say with this, because nobody in their right mind, I mean, unless you just, I don't see anybody spending $600 for an Xbox. I was, whenever Nintendo paused the pre-orders and they said they were going to reevaluate everything because of the tariffs, I said if the Switch 2 is over $500, I'm out. I'm going to wait. Hopefully the prices will come down if the tariff situation settles down. But I was going to be out. Like, I'll pay $500 for the Switch and the Mario Kart bundle, but I'm not paying any more than that. I'm not paying $580, $600 for that. There's no way. The PlayStation Pro being $700 is still insane to me. And that we are PlayStation hasn't announced prices and the increases in the U.S. yet, but we know it's coming. Like, come on. So yeah, again, I think Xbox is just they are done with this generation. I just do not foresee. I just not see them selling any more units at this point. I mean, maybe a couple here and there, but it was already selling very poorly anyways. So yeah, they just kind of solidified their chance for new customers. And why I say it was a mistake is because GTA 6, and we don't know for sure if it's coming out this year. It could get delayed until 2026, and maybe Xbox knows about that. Maybe they have some insight that it is going to be delayed, and they went ahead and announced these prices, and maybe that's telling for GTA 6. But GTA 6 is a generational game. It's an extremely zeitgeist based game. It's one of those games where there's gonna be gamers that bought GTA 5, played the hell out of it, and then never played anything else. There are people that exist like that and are probably waiting for GTA 6 to jump into this generation. And if with and I think a lot of people expected PlayStation, Xbox, when GTA 6 launches, it's going to be a worldwide event, and it's going to sell a lot of Xboxes and PlayStations because it's not going to be on PC. It's always a staggered release with GTA. So with this price going up to $600, I just do not see them kind of taking advantage of GTA 6. And again, unless it's going to be, delayed or whatever. But their prices are still going to be high because, because why I say these companies are not your friends, and they're not consumer friendly is if the tariff situation settles down and everything goes back to hopefully normal or not as high for these certain countries, are the prices going to come down? Probably not. Probably not. Maybe the consoles go back down. I don't know, but games aren't. Once games go up to 80, that's it. They're going to be considered premium products. And I've never, like I said, I've been a gamer my whole life, and I've never once thought about getting out of gaming. There's been lulls in my kind of gaming time where I was, back in like the Xbox One generation. There's a 1 or 2 year lull where I wasn't playing much. I was working, I was bartending and serving in a restaurant, and it just took up a lot of my. I mean, I worked pretty much all nights, so I just didn't have a lot of gaming time. Other than that, I've been a consistent gamer my entire life, and I am very concerned about the future. And I just don't think the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 may be my last console purchases from these specific retailers or these specific companies. And I don't think I would have thought that, a few years ago. How many people, Xbox is on all, hitting on all strides right now with Game Pass. They've had so many good games. Like currently playing through Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Game's incredible. Could be my game of the year. I'm not sure yet. We still have a lot of months left, but they're kind of killing it. How many people think that the PlayStation generation hasn't even started yet? We've got, we had Spider-Man 2, Astrobot, which, I love that game. That game was incredible. It could have ran on the PS4 just fine, or PS4 Pro. Maybe Ghost of Yotei is like the next big generation kind of game. We haven't seen anything from Naughty Dog. That wasn't a remaster yet. This generation has just felt so off and so weird. It doesn't feel like a generation. I don't know. It feels like a stopgap for the next generation. And with all the crazy price increases, even before the tariffs went into play, it's been wild. And I'm like I said, I'm excited for the Switch 2. I'm excited for. I probably prefer Nintendo over the other two. So I'm willing to continue to buy their consoles, and we'll probably get 6 or 7 years out of the Switch 2, hopefully, so we don't have to worry about another Nintendo console for a while. But yeah, I can really see myself just kind of passing on whatever else is next from Xbox and PlayStation. I'm excited for the Xbox handheld, whatever that looks like, but I'm not paying $800 for it. I'm just not. That's insane to me. So, all right, guys. Well, I think I've kind of rambled enough. Given my 2 cents. I'm not happy about it, but we knew it was coming. I'm not happy about Nintendo raising prices for Mario Kart. Price increases suck. It sucks that these companies are nickel and diming us. It sucks that it feels like it all kind of stems back to GameStop, and I'm not hating on GameStop necessarily, but back in the day when Xbox and Nintendo play, when all these companies were trying to counter, Xbox taking in used games and reselling them, you know that was when companies like EA were putting in the multiplayer cards, right, where if you bought the game you could play the multiplayer, but you had to enter in that code, and then you could play just fine. Paid your $60, that was it. But then if you resold it, that code wasn't there, so if someone bought the game, they'd have to fork over an extra $10, and that was kind of a way that they were trying to counter the used game market. And there were a lot of companies were adding, like, tacking on multiplayer portions of games, stuff like Dead Space 2, BioShock, which I actually really liked the BioShock 2 multiplayer. A lot of companies were doing that just so they didn't want people to trade in their games. And it kind of all stems to that. And then we kind of jumped after, like, Apple came out with the iPad, and a lot of games were either free to play with microtransactions or 99 cents, or like really cheap games. Then that's when your Fortnites of the world kind of enter the market, and it's been kind of that ever since. People have tried to chase that trend, and for better or worse, here we are now. So, all right, negativity done. Going back to my workday. Appreciate everyone watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.